we're gonna pull this back into S, and now I'm gonna get into it here as this car tries to pass me, but can't pass me. I'm doing pretty good. So this car gets up pretty good, and the nice thing is when you pull it back into the S transmission setting, is it actually holds the simulated gear. Welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today I have a 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec all-wheel drive. And I'm going to tell you why this mid-level trim might be the best one in all the ADX lineup. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if this is content you're after or you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. Now guys, here we are with the mid-level trim of the ADX called the A-Spec. And if you haven't checked out some of the other videos here on Drive Culture, I already have reviews of the entry-level trim as well as the fully loaded A-Spec Advanced trim here on Drive Culture. So be sure to like and watch those videos if you haven't watched those as well. But let's go ahead and talk about the ADX here before we even get into the pricing and trim. So this is essentially an all-new small compact crossover for Acura, right? There was never an ADX before. It's an all new nameplate, right? So now this sits alongside the Acura Integra as kind of this like gateway, this feeder into the brand. So people are going to come in, potentially look at this, maybe step up eventually into an RDX and eventually an MDX and things like that. So this is the smallest SUV that Acura now makes. And like I said, price point wise, it's also kind of the entry into the brand. So let's get into the pricing and trims. Now, all of the trims essentially are two-wheel drive based trims, but you can add all-wheel drive for a $2,000 option. So an entry-level ADX is going to cost you $35,000 MSRP. If you want to add the all-wheel drive, like I said, that's $2,000. But if you want to jump up to the A-Spec trim, that's $3,000. So that's going to be $38,000, and then it jumps to $40,000 with all-wheel drive. So that's what we have here today, $40,000 MSRP. Of course, it doesn't include D&H and paint and things like that. Of course, if you want to step up even further to that A-Spec Advance, it's an additional $4,000, right? So a fully loaded A-Spec Advance is $44,000 MSRP. But I think this one here at $40,000 is right at that mid-level trim as maybe one of the best in the lineup. So we're going to talk about it. But before we do, as I mentioned, paint isn't included. And the one that we have here today is called Platinum White Pearl. So that's an extra $600 if you want one of the premium paints that Acura offers. But next, let's go ahead and do a full exterior walk around of this 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec all-wheel drive. All right, guys, here we are with the exterior of this 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec all-wheel drive. Now, one of the things you'll notice is on the A-Spec trims, and this is pretty much true throughout the Acura lineup, is they add lots of like kind of gloss black elements, really try to go for more of a sporty look and feel. Without the A-Spec package, the car still look good, but the A-Spec really kind of turns it up a notch and gives it bigger wheels, black accents, sometimes some extra features and things like that as well. So let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling of this Acura ADX. And so like I mentioned in the beginning, there was never a entry-level SUV in the Acura lineup like this. You had to pretty much start at the RDX and make your way up to the MDX. But now you've got this smaller kind of subcompact SUV in the lineup. And it shares a lot of the same styling cues that you would find on the Integra and the other Acura models. So you got these really sharp, creases in the hood, there in the center, off on the fenders. And again, like I said, this is called that Platinum White Pearl paint from Acura. So it has a lot of metallic flake in the paint. You can really see it kind of like shine from behind there. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the whole front end here. So the ADX has a very big front grille and opening here. And so this is what Acura calls the Diamond Pentagon grille. This is kind of the latest iteration of it. Got that huge Acura caliper there. It's all gloss black for the grille, but has a lot of nice surfacing there. And again, on certain trims, you'll even get parking sensors up front, which are integrated into the grille, but that's only on that A-Spec Advance. You don't get that here on the standard A-Spec A-Spec trim, but we make our way to the kind of premium LED headlights that they have. Call this the chicane daytime running light. It's kind of this check mark design. You got the LED lights below that. Uh, Pretty nice detailing there, and you can see again, it has a very kind of like sleek modern LED design element. And then down below on this trim you do get LED fog lights as well, kind of these like black lip spoilers here. And then along the front you actually get this silver lip spoiler, and that's going to be true no matter which exterior color that you get. And then down below, if you really take a look, you can kind of see the opening for the front mount intercooler and the radiator there behind the grille. So let's go ahead and kind of take in the entire side profile of the ADX. So as I mentioned, this is the smallest SUV in the lineup, and it feels that way, at least it looks that way. On the inside, it's actually really spacious, and we'll talk about that in the interior section coming up next. But let's go ahead and take a look. So the A-Spec trims have these painted, fenders here. They kind of go over the front and rear with this nice side spoiler that carries along the bottom of the vehicle. As part of that A-Spec package, you do get the A-Spec badging here on the front fender as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at the wheel and tires. So on the standard ADX, you actually get an 18-inch wheel. On this A-Spec one, you jump up to a 19-inch wheel. Now, on the regular A-Spec package like we have here, it's actually painted in this sharp gray color. If you were to jump up to the A-Spec Advance, this same wheel gets painted a gloss black. So let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Which color do you like? Are you a fan of black wheels? I really like the way this sharp gray looks here on the ADX though. So this is actually a 235 45R 19 Continental tire that's on here too. So good driving performance, which we'll talk about during the drive section. So next, for the side mirrors, you do have LED turn signals. They're not power folding mirrors though. You got black window treatment along there. That's part of the A-Spec package. And next, here you have the fuel door, and we'll make our way to the rear. No need to cover the rear tires. It's a square setup as you would imagine, but here we'll go ahead and take a look at the rear of the ADX. It's kind of a very sporty premium design. It has a very aggressive roof spoiler, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. You can see it's a very nice shape to it. It's body color, but it's definitely aggressive, and again, it just helps to make ADX look a little bit more sporty. But if we make our way back to the rear, you can see you got the Acura caliper there in the middle. You got the premium LED tail lights that carry over that kind of check mark LED design. You got the A-Spec badging here on the left, and then down on the right, you've got ADX for the name and all-wheel drive badging down below. You got some dual exhaust down here as well, with some nice chrome exhaust finishers and kind of a small aggressive rear diffuser as well. So again, it's a small entry SUV, but it's definitely trying to show its sporty intention. So with that, I think we've covered everything on the exterior of the ADX. So next, let's go ahead and hop inside to talk about the interior. All right, guys, here we are inside this 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec all-wheel drive. And I think I said this when I reviewed the entry-level trim for the ADX as well. But one of the things about these cars is it has a very premium interior, especially for the price point. So like I said, this one here would be 38,000 without the all-wheel drive. It's 40,000 because it has the all-wheel drive. Of course, that's not going to change anything on the interior per se. But with that said, I mean, for 40 grand, you get a lot of car for your money. So let's talk about what you get. So on the dash, you got lots of premium materials, soft touch materials throughout. And then on this piece here, it's actually a leatherette material with contrast stitching. There's a piece here on the driver's side as well. It really pops on this interior because this is what Acura calls their orchid color interiors. So of course you can still get an ebony or like a black interior, or you can even get a red interior on certain color combinations as well. But the orchid combination, especially with that platinum white, looks really premium and definitely kind of pops and makes the interior a lot brighter. But as we come here, I always want to talk about the steering wheel. So the steering wheel is awesome. It's a really nice shape and size, kind of a smaller diameter, but not too thick, not too thin, almost the perfect thickness. It does have perforations here on the side, contrast stitching throughout. It is a flat bottom steering wheel as well. You got that Acura caliper here in the airbag cover, A-Spec down here on the silver spoke. Easy ergonomics, right? You got all your volume controls on your left, all the ADAS, kind of cruise control functions here on the right. And then you got these two huge metal paddle shifters, right? They're actual metal, they're not plastic. They're literally cold to the touch right now. But we'll talk about what they do and how they work during the drive. So, really premium setup there. As you make your way down the center, though, you've got this really unique kind of design for the mid-level part of the dash. It's kind of got this brushed finish material here, a nice chrome piece that carries along the center dash. The air vents are easy to use, kind of this joystick style design. Getting down to the climate control, everything is manual, which is nice. You got heated seats, three-stage heated seats for the driver and passenger. Those buttons are here. All of your climate control, those, as you can hear, it's kind of clickety, right? It's very premium and kind of like high tactile function. Going further down, you got two USB-C charge ports, one for data, one for charging, a 12-volt socket. And below that, yes, you get a wireless charge pad on this trim as well. You get one cup holder up front, a little cubby to store things. And then as you kind of make your way back, you've got this kind of premium design that kind of separates the driver and passenger compartment. And so on this outside piece, it has that same leatherette material with contrast stitching. On the side that's kind of facing the driver, it's this piano black and kind of chrome material that comes back. And on this wall, it's actually like a textured material. So that's really, really nice. Looks really premium. Takes you back to the mechanical shifter here. Left of that, you got all your controls for your dynamic drive modes, turning off the idle stop function, hill descent control. You have an electronic parking brake with brake hold function, which is nice. And then a little bit back, you have one more cup holder. So the cup holders are like separated, they're not side by side. But you lift up the center armrest, you got lots of space down there. So that's really nice. So next, let's go ahead and talk about some of the door lining materials. Again, that soft touch material carries over. The orchid leather material with the contrast stitching is there as well. But what really pops, and you'll see this on the seats as well, is there's actually this blue, that's right, blue suede material on the door. And it looks really nice and it's really nice to the touch. It's like really soft. So it's very high quality material, nice chrome door handle, window functions and controls. You don't get, driver memory seating, but again, you got some really good materials here. Your power tailgate button and traction control button are off to the left here as well. But next, let's go ahead and talk about these seats, man. The seats in this car are really, really comfortable. There's really good bolstering here on the sides and the hips, and they're very nice material. So like the outer parts of the bolsters are like leatherette with contrast stitching, but this whole center section of the seat, I mean, top to bottom, is this kind of suede-like material. Now, in the center area, it actually is color matched with that orchid color, and it's perforated as well. But beyond that, it actually also is suede. I know, and you may not look like it, but when you touch it, it's definitely suede. And then you got these blue accents in suede as well. So it's kind of very grippy, but very comfortable, very premium seats. They are power seats on both sides, which is nice. Again, very good seats, especially for this class. You do get an opening panoramic moonroof on this car, so that's really nice. Now, on the standard car, you only get a moonroof, but if you jump up here, you get a full opening panoramic moonroof with a power sunshade, which is nice because yes, a full glass roof on a hot day can get hot inside the cabin, so it's definitely nice to have that. You got a sunglass holder, some premium controls up here in the center, upper console area. And then lastly, let's talk about some of the tech and audio. So first, in the center, you got a 9-inch color touchscreen display. It does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. Works really well. You can connect wirelessly or with your plug. It doesn't have Google built in on this trim, but again, this still works really well. In front of you, you got a 10.2-inch digital instrument cluster, completely customizable. Shows your little ADX and other cars and vehicles driving around you. You can display audio, maps, all your functions right there. That's really nice feature. And then lastly, let's talk about the audio. So On this trim, you get an 8-speaker audio system. It's not the branded system. You have to jump up to the A-Spec Advance. And like I said, there's a $4,000 price difference to do that. And I'll be honest, that Bang& Olufsen system that comes on that top system might be worth the price alone to jump up. But this 8-speaker system still sounds really good. So I think we've covered everything in the front row. So next, let's go ahead and hop in the second row. All right, guys, here we are in the second row of the Acura ADX A-Spec. And there is a lot of space back here, guys. Like, I was trying to explain that on the exterior. I mean, the car looks like a, very small, compact SUV from the outside, but the interior packaging in this thing is a home run. There is so much space. This is actually my driver's seat position, but probably even a little bit back. So, I mean, I still have tons of space. As always, I'll say I'm 5'10". I can easily fit my feet up under the front seat. I've got knee room for days, lots of headroom, shoulder room. There's only a very, very slight hump in the floor here, so even the center seat gets really good seating. You don't really have to straddle your feet or anything like that. So you could fit 3 adults back here. Obviously, probably the center seat would be better suited for a small child, but you could fit 3 adults back here, no problem. Materials back here are also really nice. On the door lining, you still get some of the same materials as the front, that orchid leatherette with contrast stitching, speakers, all in the door lining here. The seats themselves also get that leatherette material in the back. It's very soft, very nice premium materials. Even that blue suede-like material on the inserts carries over to the rear. They could have cheapened out, they could have left that out, they could have made it leatherette, but no, they carried over the same material to the rear. So that's a really nice touch point. The other thing is you have a folding armrest here with cup holders. Headrests are all adjustable across the rear. Here in the center area, you do have vents, which is nice. They can be opened and closed back here. Down below that on this trim, you also get 2 more USB-C charge ports, both for charging. So you've got 5 charge ports in this small vehicle. So literally every occupant can be charging a device. So that's really nice. You got one large, mat pocket here behind the passenger seat. And then as always, for kind of display reference, I have a booster seat back here. It fits no problem. The latches are already exposed, so it's super easy to attach. And of course, even one of those big rear, child-facing seats would fit back here, no problem at all. So next, let's go ahead and hop out and check out the cargo area. All right, next, let's go ahead and talk about the cargo space of the Acura ADX A-Spec all-wheel drive. So, of course, there's a button inside, which I showed you, to open the power tailgate, which comes on this trim. You can do it on the key fob, or you can simply just pull here, and the power tailgate opens right up. And it's really nice because not only does it have the ability to adjust the height of the tailgate by holding down the button here, it also has walk-away close function. So literally, you push that button, walk away from the vehicle, the power tailgate will close and the vehicle will lock itself. So that's a really nice feature, especially if you're having to carry a bunch of things in the house. But next, let's go ahead and take a look inside here. There's a lot of space. Again, like I said, it's a small, kind of subcompact SUV, but you're not penalized for cargo space or interior packaging. Inside, there's a nice carpeted material. The seats in the back are 60/40 rear folding seats. You also get this kind of cargo cover, and it's a hard, nice material. Of course, it can be removed simply by just pulling it off the little latch points here, but on the underside, it's kind of a plastic material, and on top, it's a very nice carpeted material as well. If you lift this up, you'll also notice underneath there's some pretty good storage down below in the foam cutout, which is nice. You'll also find the jack, because if you lift up the foam, you'll actually see that there is a spare tire down below. So that's really nice to have that on this trim. But inside, you actually have 24.4 cubic feet of space with the second row up. And if you push that down, that actually jumps to 55.1 cubic feet of space, which is a ton of space, guys. You have no problem going to the store, going to Home Depot, things like that. You can definitely fit a lot of things in this small subcompact SUV. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain. All right, next, let's go over the powertrain of this Acura ADX A-Spec all-wheel drive. So every ADX, doesn't matter which trim, they all come with the same engine and transmission. The only difference, as I mentioned in the beginning, is you can opt for all-wheel drive if you want that. But this one here, and like I said, every ADX comes with Acura's 1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. And in this configuration here, it makes 190 horsepower and 179 foot-pounds of torque. It's made it exclusively to a CVT transmission, comes standard with front-wheel drive, two-wheel drive drivetrain, and you can opt for that all-wheel drive system. But there's no better way than to prove that out than to get behind the wheel. So next, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive.
All right, guys, here we are inside this 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec all-wheel drive. We're gonna go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So go ahead and put on my seatbelt, like that. Foot on the brake, hit the engine start-stop button. Starts right up, and yes, there is a mechanical shifter here. You just go ahead and pull the lever back into D. There's also an S. We'll of course talk about that here in a second, but one of the other things that's nice is the fact that this has the electronic parking brake with the brake hold function. Is you don't actually always have to manually engage or disengage the parking brake. So if it's on and you have your seatbelt on, all you have to do is just tap the gas and it'll automatically disengage it when you're in drive. So that's a nice little function. So we're gonna go ahead and set off, and as always, do the same little route that I use. We'll talk about the different drive modes, the transmission settings, chassis, all those things. So we're gonna go ahead and set off here. And you know, I think I said this when I drove some of the other ADX trims, is that, you know, for this price point, you know, this car feels very substantial, has very like kind of premium quality materials that just lend itself to make you forget that you're driving a car that's $40,000. And while that might sound like a lot of money, the average price of a new vehicle this day is $50,000. So you really do get a lot of bang for your buck here. So I think that's what's really great about ADX. And whether you're in the entry trim, this mid-level trim, or even the fully loaded A-Spec advanced trim, they all have great features and content. But here on this A-Spec trim, it's kind of this perfect blend of the two. And the reason why is you get all the A-Spec styling, but you still get a lot of features. You don't get all of them, but you get kind of the main ones that you'll need, especially from a day-to-day driving standpoint. So let's go ahead and talk about the drive mode. So down here in this little toggle switch, you can basically go backwards or forwards. You can work your way through the 4 different drive modes. Now, one is snow mode, which we won't need today. The other is a comfort mode, and all these modes change like the color of the rings on the gauges. You'll hear these little sounds and graphics. There's a normal mode, and then of course there's a sport mode. So we'll drive within comfort, normal, and sport for today's review, to kind of let you know what changes in the vehicle, how it drives and handles. Now, one of the other nice things about this car is, even with this 1.5 liter turbocharged engine, it actually gets really good gas mileage. So I'll go ahead and put the EPA numbers down right below there. So it definitely achieves these numbers in real world driving, and you can actually pretty easily best them depending if you're not driving overly aggressive. So that's what's really nice about ADX as well. So we're also going to start off driving in the D for the transmission, and I'll tell you what changes when you pull that back into S. So here we go, we're going to set off. I'm actually in comfort drive mode right now. So here we go. And what you'll notice is around town, this car has really good NVH. You know, it's very, very quiet in the cabin. You get a little bit of road noise and wind noise, and it might get a little bit worse on the freeway, but around town, it's a pretty quiet vehicle. The other thing that's nice is, you know, it doesn't have like adjustable suspension or anything like that, but it's tuned just right. Like, so it's not overly soft and floaty, but it's also not overly harsh in like a, you know, like a sport mode setting. So it's kind of a really good balance for the chassis tuning on this car. The handling's really good. It's very, again, it's a small vehicle, but with this also small diameter steering wheel, it just makes it fun to drive, right? It feels kind of sporty, even though it's a small entry SUV. So here we are. We're going to go over some train tracks here. Now, the first one is slightly aggressive. The second one is pretty aggressive here. And we'll just see how the vehicle does as far as the chassis and suspension. So I'm going to take it at about 35 miles an hour. Here we go. That was really good. really no undulations, no kind of bumps. Didn't get shaken around, but it was just a little bit of noise in the cabin. The next one here is a little bit more aggressive, so I'll take it at about the same speed, just over 35 miles an hour. And this one's a little bit worse, but let's see how the ADX does over it right now. Here we go. No, and again, I mean, a little bit of noise in the cabin, a little bit of shaking, but overall, that's really good. And if you watch Drive Culture, you know I've driven a myriad of cars over that thing, especially some lower cars, tuner cars, sports cars, and that same train track there on those cars can literally lift you out of the seat. So this handles that really well. So next, we're going to go ahead and change this into the normal driving mode. This is kind of the default setting, and what you notice right away is that the steering gets a little bit heavier, and the throttle response is a lot better on normal. Comfort, it really dials it back. It's almost like an econ driving mode where it's trying to give you the best, MPGs, and just really kind of make it more of like, if you're in a low speed parking lot setting, I think comfort mode would be really good, but around town, normal feels really good, and that's part of the reason why that's the default drive mode. Now, there's also that idle stop, start stop button that you can turn off, but it doesn't permanently turn it off. You always have to turn it off every time you get in and power on the vehicle. But here we go. We're going to hop up into sport mode, and we're going to pull this back into S, and now I'm going to get into it here as this car tries to pass me, but can't pass me. I'm doing pretty good. So this car gets up pretty good, and the nice thing is when you pull it back into the S transmission setting, is it actually holds the simulated gears. So that's right, it's a CVT transmission, but there's actually 7 simulated gear shifts, and it kind of makes it feel like it's a double clutch transmission, or that there's actually gears, because as you pull the paddles, it literally will show you on the digital instrument cluster what gear you're in. So right now, because I'm in the S transmission setting and I'm using the paddle shifters, it says S for sport, M for manual, and then the number of the simulated gear. So there, and it's fast because it's not technically actually shifting through gears. So it is fun. It adds a little bit of excitement to the car. Definitely, especially if you're on some back roads, I can imagine it's kind of fun, especially the fact that you can kind of hold the gear for a bit. But to be fair, it will automatically upshift. So here we go. I'm in first gear, holding it, but it automatically upshifted to second, and then even to third. So it won't always hold the highest gear. I think if you're mid-throttle application, most of the time it'll hold it. Like if you're on third and you're going, up a hill or up a mountain or something like that, I think it'll keep it in gear for you. But if you're like wide open throttle, banging through the gears, it'll automatically upshift itself to protect the transmission, which is fine for me. Again, this car isn't a sports car. It's not a Type S. It's really just a great kind of daily commuter vehicle that gives you the ability to have a little bit more fun when you want to. So I think that's really nice. The other thing about the sport mode is not only is the overall throttle response better, the steering gets even a little bit heavier, but again, it's not overly heavy or anything like that. But I think most people are probably going to drive this thing in normal or even comfort mode during their commutes, also get better, gas mileage and things like that. So here we'll do one last little drive, and we'll just talk about the chassis again and the brakes, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up this review. All right, here we are setting off. So I'm still gonna leave it in sport mode. I still have it in the S transmission setting. So here you can see I pull the paddle shifter, switches to second, pull it again, switches to third. So again, since it's not actually shifting through gears, it's really fast and really responsive in how it changes those simulated gear shift points. But here, let's just do one little quick test of the chassis, so I'll kind of get into it pretty aggressive there. And man, this car, like I said, it handles good, and especially in the sport mode, the steering is a perfect weight, and it really makes this thing fun to drive. And not that you're really going to need it or test it out, but here I'll even get into the brakes, and brakes are actually really good too. So let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below on the ADX. Let me know if you want to see other trims, other color combinations, and of course other competitors to the ADX here on the channel, because of course I'd be happy to bring you that content as well. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this drive review.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. What did you think of the 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec all-wheel drive? Is this mid-level trim the best in all of the ADX lineup? Now, I already have a video of the entry-level trim as well as that fully loaded A-Spec Advanced trim here on Drive Culture. So if you haven't watched those videos, be sure to like and watch those as well. And let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Do you want to see other trims, other color combinations, and of course, other competitors from other brands? Just let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below, because of course, I'd be happy to bring you that content as well. So if you joined me before, thank you so much. But if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. Thanks, and we'll see you at the next episode.